Suspended acting EMPD head Julius Mkhwanazi has admitted to being the one who signed off on 2 agreements with companies owned by Vusimuzi Cat Matlala. In 2021, Mkhwanazi signed off on 2 memorandums of understanding, or MOUs, with Medicare 24 and Cat VIP protection. This allowed Medicare 24 to use red lights as an emergency medical company and Cat VIP protection to use blue lights. Mkhwanazi has justified this, saying the agreements were mutually beneficial. Iman Repeti is live from Pretoria, where the Commission is sitting. A lot of explanation needing to be done yesterday, and it's set to continue today. Good morning again, Iman.
Good morning, Arabile, and I can tell you that it is freezing. The mercury has certainly plummeted where we are sitting outside the Bridget Mabandla Justice College, but the temperature will certainly be high up, I imagine, back inside the Commission as Julius Mkhwanazi continues his testimony today. There were some important things that happened, and I want to kick off, before we get into the memoranda of understanding that he eventually acquiesced to and said that he was not legally authorized to do so, was the allegations that were made against him. I mean, these are quite serious, and they were made by his predecessor, the Rivo Spies, who was the former Ekurhuleni deputy chief of police there. Mkhwanazi, he said, is an accessory to murder, and that murder happened in about April 2022 in Brakpan, and a whole cascade which links Mkhwanazi to that. And he's basically saying Rivo Spies is a liar. So just talk to us, Aldo de Klerk, about that aspect of testimony and his desperation to come out squeaky clean.
Absolutely, and he says that he's handed everything over to IPID. IPID is investigating that. He also was at pains to say that he went there in an effort to celebrate a successful operation. He was called by his subordinates and said, please come out to Brakpan, and at the end of the day, he then says he was there for a mere 2 to 3 minutes, Iman.
And so, again, we saw him sweating at the brow, and that's why I made the analogy between the weather today. It's pretty cold. But he really was, his feet were put to the fire yesterday, and even though he tried, it would seem, to wrangle away from commitments that he'd made, especially on the red and blue lights for the medical services and for the VIP protection services, he eventually had to concede that it was his decision, I mean, and that he had made it illegally so.
Absolutely, because that's against the National Road Traffic Act that very clearly outlines which service entities and which departments and which personnel are entitled to blue lights, and namely the South African Police Service, Metro Police, and the South African National Defence Force. Those are the only entities undertaking law enforcement duties that actually that should and are authorized to use blue lights.
All right, so the expectation today is we're going to round off the testimony with him because we're at an important point now where the Commission is going to start to put together that report. What are you hoping to hear from him?
Well, I'm hoping that the Commission does tackle the issue of IPID and everything that goes together with the IPID report. I think the Commission also needs to take a moment for him to say, I'm on suspension, this is what I'm hoping to come out for myself, and actually allow him to freely chat about the kind of silo basis in which they seem to work there at the municipality, and deal with that in its totality. But then we also have a final opportunity to look at the relationship between Metro Police and the National South African Police Service, because ultimately it's the National Commissioner of Police that is accountable for what happens within Metro Police.
And the point you made earlier, Aldred, was that there were a series of breakdowns and breaches in those people who were meant to hold these officers that are visible front and center interacting with the public accountable, and they didn't do their job. So again, lovely to have you, Jeremy Michaels, just popping in to just give us some new information, hopefully, Jeremy, on what is going to be happening between today and tomorrow. I know that we were reticent in confirming a time for Senzo Mchunu to give and continue his evidence because we're waiting on Julius Mkhwanazi to finish. But where's the Commission now in terms of the compilation of that first critical report that must be ready for the President by the 17th of December?
Good morning, Man. As you've reported this morning, we are resuming with Julius Mkhwanazi at 8:30. Then during the course of this morning, probably closer to our 11 o'clock tea time or immediately thereafter, we will have Minister Mchunu return to the stand. And that is likely most likely to continue into tomorrow morning. And certainly we know that his counsel, his legal representatives have indicated that they would like to re-examine him tomorrow afternoon from 1400 hours. So certainly as we round up this year's hearings, the Commission then will conclude the public hearings by the end of tomorrow at whatever time, and then we are going to be squarely focused on the interim report, which is due on the President's desk on the 17th of December.
Where is General Zilla? We know that he had said that he was unwell, couldn't make it to testify here.
Yes, indeed. He called in sick, so to speak. He was under subpoena. He was subpoenaed to appear before the Commission, but of course that is now going to have to stand over until next year.
Do we know any more details with regard to that? I mean, it's quite a serious thing.
Well, unfortunately, I can't get into that detail publicly. Suffice to say that he is ill. And yeah, we will then obviously also, it's a scheduling issue now. We are not going to be able to accommodate hearing his testimony this year anyway, because we are after tomorrow going to be focused on the interim report.
Can you share any insight behind the scenes about, I mean, because again, like the ad hoc committee, we're in a hall of mirrors when it comes to evidence, and the Commission here has to be agnostic to any of the sensation around this and really stick to the facts. Can you give us a view inside the room when they get together in caucus about how they separate what they understand to be fact and fiction and how that factors into that report, the work of which will kick off tomorrow in earnest?
So I think as the commissioners, under obviously the chairpersonship of Justice Madlanga, have repeatedly indicated, and also the evidence leaders, the Commission's approach to the witnesses and to the testimony has been to hear the allegations and then hear the responses to those allegations. We've had in excess now of 40, I think today's day 44 of the public hearings, and somewhere in the region of 40 witnesses thus far. So in terms of all of the evidence that has come out, obviously there is a lot that the Commission hasn't covered. I mean, just from having observed, followed the proceedings so closely over the last couple of months, for every witness that came in phase one, at least 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 persons were then implicated by that witness.
Yeah.
And so there is a lot yet that the Commission needs to cover going into 2026. But as I say, the interim report due on the 17th of December is going to be the focus over the next couple of weeks.
Well, I'm so glad you recapped the days. Arabile, as I hand back to you, and thank Jeremy Michaels and Aldred de Klerk for just sharing their perspectives with us. 44 days, 40 witnesses and counting is the bulk of the work that the Commission has been seized with, and so we'll wait to see, and also whether that report, Jeremy, is going to be made public. Is it just going to sit on the President's desk, or is it going to be shared publicly? Just a really quick one.
Well, that is obviously a matter that the President and the Presidency will deal with. It's not for the Commission to say. Ours is to table our report by the 17th of December, and let's see what happens.
All right, let's see what happens. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Appreciate that. Arabile, back to you.